Hetty's like, no, I do not want to be in your video. I excuse a little bit of the ambiance. My neighbor just came home, perfect timing. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the books I've been reading lately, and I do have a little bit of a haul for you. The reason why this is a little bit of a different, here I have Hetty here. The reason why this is a little bit of a different angle is I have on a cute little YouTube video for Hetty, and she's obsessed. She loves watching, she previously loved like trail, like bears and moose and things like that. Watching videos of that. Yeah, I'm talking about you. But now she really likes walking videos, and I found this one channel that does silent vlogs of flowers and cats and farm like aerial views, and she loves those so much right now. She is like shaking her tail so vigorously watching videos of other cats and baking. It's so sweet. But anyway, I'm here to tell you about some books that I've read recently. I have a stack right here behind me. I thought I would first tell you a little bit of what I've been reading lately. I'm still reading Anna Karenina. I've decided to make that like a whole separate vlog at this point. I will say in the vlog that I create for Anna Karenina, I did fall behind on my reading schedule, but my goal is to finish reading the book by the end of this month in March. We'll see if that actually happens. I'm sure I'm more than halfway through. I am really enjoying it. I'm trying to read piece by piece every night before I go to bed, and it's been a lot of fun so far. But like I said, that's going to be a completely separate vlog at this point because I feel like it deserves its own dedicated video. I'm reading other shorter books, other audiobooks and things. One of the books that I read recently, I've read a few lately that are really, really good. I read Flush by Virginia Woolf. I kind of wish I'd vlogged that one because that was so good. That is Virginia Woolf's biography of Flush. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, the famous poet, her Cocker Spaniel named Flush, who did exist. There's like sources cited in the back of the book where it's like letters that she wrote featuring Flush, and I think she wrote a poem about Flush. So yeah, that was a really fun book. I loved it so much. It was very delightful. I've been thinking about maybe filming a video focusing on like short, fun books that might be good for the spring and summer. So maybe I'll film that somewhat soon, and I'm definitely going to include Flush in there. That was a 5-star for me. That was just such a fun read. And then I read Confessions, and I forget the author's name off the top of my head. This was a book that was recently discussed on the Books Unbound podcast. If you've been around for a bit, you know I'm a huge Books Unbound fan, and Raylene talked about this book. It sounded great. I read it in the course of like 2 days, and I can confirm it's a really great thriller, and I'm not really a thriller reader. I'm more of a mystery gal, so the fact that this book really piqued my interest. I'm not going to tell you too much about the plot because I don't want to spoil anything, but that book is about, it's constructed in a really interesting way. It's about a teacher whose daughter has recently passed away, and she's telling her students about the events that, you know, about what happened, and she reveals that 2 of her students in her class, her daughter. So, chaos ensues. The whole first part of the book is her delivering this lecture, basically explaining everything that happened and how she found out what happened. And then she, at the end of that chapter, gives them a punishment. and the rest of the book is kind of the aftermath of that. And that is the detail that hooked me. That is the reason why I wanted to read that book right after hearing about it. I wanted to know what the punishment was. It was very interesting and I really enjoyed it. So that, I would say that was like a 3.75 rating for me, which I know I'm weird with ratings. Sometimes I give higher ratings than maybe I ought to have given, but that felt like a good rating. I really enjoyed it, but it's not like a favorite. I don't think I'd reread it, but I enjoyed it in the moment. Okay, and then finally, the book that I'm reading right now, and hopefully I will finish either tonight or tomorrow, is none other than Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. This was so random. The audiobook narrator who read Flush, I really liked the job that she did on that audiobook, and I scrolled through to see what else she had done, and she had done a number of Elizabeth Gaskell's books, and I had Cranford on my shelves. I bought this copy within the last year or so, and I sampled it, and the rest is history. I am loving, loving, loving this book so much. This book is pretty well summed up by the first line. So, in the first place, Cranford is in possession of the Amazons. All the holders of the houses above a certain rent are women. That's the first sentence of this book, and that's pretty much the thesis statement. This book is really a series of happenings that happen to the women in this town. They all kind of run the town. They're mostly spinsters or widows, and while there are a couple male characters here and there that we do hear about, some in more detail than others, it's mainly about the women and the approach to the women and how independent they are and the attitudes they have towards men for a book that was written in the 1840s is really advanced and really interesting. It's really different than any other Victorian classic I've read before. A line that I underlined from chapter 2, which is funnily enough about a man who kind of becomes a part of this society named Captain Brown. The second chapter is titled The Captain. This line says, Miss Jenkins wore a cravat and a little bonnet like a jockey cap, and altogether had the appearance of a strong-minded woman, although she would have despised the modern idea of women being equal to men. Equal indeed, she knew they were superior. So just coming from a book that was written during this time, it's so surprising. I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. There are a lot of complexities in this book that you might not expect for a book that just kind of seems to be about the mundanities of these women who live in this small town, this quaint village in England. It's talking about their lives, talking about their struggles. There's so many funny bits. Part of what hooked me in this book were the funny little things like that line and just other kind of ironical bits that the narrator of this book kind of has like this dry humor, and in narrating everything, she is just, I don't know, she has this wit that is very almost Jane Austen-esque that I really love. And I have really loved the comic bits. There are also parts of this book that are really, really serious, deal with really serious topics, deal with things that, that really concerned women at that time, like being an unmarried woman in society in the 1840s in England was definitely a thing, definitely a struggle, and they talk about that, talking about wanting to be a mother but not really getting to, talking about grief and dealing with grief and grieving the versions of your life that you may have had but didn't end up getting, and money too. There's a lot of really interesting tidbits about these women who kind of star in this book, and their relationships with money and class, and how even though all of these women are technically the aristocracy of this, or the upper crust of this particular town, they're all pretty poor. They all have to economize in some capacity, and they talk about that in like a funny way, but it's still talking about money in relation to women. This book just feels really unique to me, and I am so enjoying it. And as you can see here, here's my bookmark. It makes it look like I don't have as it looks like I'm a little over halfway, but with the footnotes and everything, I'm kind of close to the end. I only have a few more chapters to go. I'm really enjoying this. I would highly recommend it. I'll give you my final thoughts once I'm all done, but the audiobook that I'm listening to is also excellent. It is an Audible original, which is annoying, and I don't love that. I apologize for that, but it's still really enjoyable, and I've really been liking it. And I just wanted to mention that, and like I said, I'll talk more about my feelings once I'm done. But now that I've completely blabbed your ear off about what I've been reading, I thought I would show you a little bit of a haul that I have. A haul and a funny story for you. Most of these books are from Thriftbooks, and if you're an American, I don't know if Thriftbooks is present in other countries, but Thriftbooks is where I get the majority of my used books that I don't get just like from my local used bookstore. I get a lot of books from there. You can get books for relatively good prices, and I have been wanting to dabble in some different kinds of fiction and nonfiction. I am on Substack, and I see people talking about Anais Nin. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And I wanted to try some of her books, and so I got Henry and June, which is the unexpurgated diary from 1931 to 1932. I have that here. I was curious. I wanted to give that a try. I also got The Lover by Marguerite Duras. If you heard jumping in the background, that was Hetty again. And then I also got Art and Madness, a memoir of lust without reason by Anne Royf. Bunch of authors who I am probably mispronouncing, and I apologize for that. But those are the 3 books that I got. You know, just some different kinds of books to read. I thought might be kind of fun for the summertime, especially, just to kind of sample some new things. In addition to these on Thriftbooks, I wanted to try Anais Nin's Delta of Venus. That was in amongst this haul. And if you are a frequent Thriftbooks patron, you probably know that sometimes, maybe a lot of the time, they get their orders wrong. And alongside these books, I got, for some reason, Zane Grey's Rogue River Feud. I have nothing against Zane Grey, but this is not Delta of Venus by Anais Nin. So I emailed them and I said, you know, as good as this probably is, this is a Western. I'd never heard of this author before, which is hilarious actually, because apparently he's a really big Western author, and I worked at Barnes & Noble for a time. Somehow he escaped me. So I emailed them and I said, hi, I would like the book that I ordered, please. And they said, of course, we will send you another copy. And so a couple of weeks later, it took a long time. A couple of weeks later, I receive a package, and I'm so excited. It seems like the right size. And then I bring it inside. It's after work. I crack open the package, and look at the original Zane Grey. Look at those sprayed edges. I crack open the new package. I see sprayed edges. And I go, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I have 2 copies of Zane Grey's Rogue River Feud. I emailed them again. I emailed Thriftbooks again. I told them what had happened, and they refunded me my $7 that I spent on Delta of Venus by Anais Nin. They told me that they were fully sold out. And you know what I did? I checked the app. They had other copies. So I feel like some sort of error, multiple errors occurred. But you know what? We're not going to let it hold us back. Is this the universe telling me I need to read Rogue River Feud? This book I've never heard of before? Am I just going to turn into a big Westerns reader? Maybe this is the start of a new journey, or maybe this just gives me 2 books to give to the little library down the way. So I thought I would tell you my tragic story, maybe give you a little bit of a laugh as well. And maybe this was a lesson. Maybe this was a lesson to not use, to economize. Talking about economizing. Maybe I shouldn't buy books as much. Clearly I have too many books. But if you're also looking for more non-Amazon websites to shop from, I got this book from bookshops.org, and holy moly, isn't this gorgeous? This is The Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector. It is the, I believe, 100th anniversary edition of her birth. So they created this absolutely gorgeous special edition. Oh my goodness. Can you even believe? Centennial edition, that's what it is. Can you even believe? I've had my eye on Clarice Lispector for a long time. I haven't read her yet. And like I'd said previously, I've been wanting to maybe find some new books that are kind of outside my usual milieu. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the year that I read Clarice Lispector. And speaking of Books Unbound, I saw Ariel Bissett in one of her extra videos that they did for their Patreon. She mentioned this book, and she did the same thing I just did, lifted it up, showed it, and I bought it within 10 minutes. I thought it was so beautiful. So it was a little bit of a splurge for me, but I am so happy with it. And talking about, you know, accidents that happen with thrift books, this came so beautifully packaged, so thoughtfully. It came so quickly. If you are looking for a new way to source books, I really recommend bookshops.org. I thought that it was sent really beautifully, and I appreciated the obvious care that they took in sending the book, because, you know, you get books from Amazon and sometimes it looks like they just took it in hand and chucked it and it just flew all over the way to you and it crash landed, and that's how you get your book. So I really appreciated the care that was taken with my book, and it is absolutely beautiful, and I'm so happy with it. That is my haul and my funny story. I'm gonna read a little bit of Cranford now. Maybe I'll finish it tonight, maybe not, but I am just so enjoying it. So I thought I would take you along with me on a little bit of a reading vlog as I finish this lovely book. Alright, hello friends! We're having a cozy Saturday night. Have my heating pad here. I have my books, and on Friday night, I spent the majority of my time finishing Cranford. Oh, this is a new all-time favorite book. I'm really gonna do everything I can to try to get my hands on a couple more Elizabeth Gaskell books. When I read this book, when there are so many things that I love about it. It's funny. It talks about topics like I mentioned earlier in this video. It's funny. It has so many interesting topics that it delves into that I feel like you don't see very often. It talked a lot about motherhood. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I might not have gotten to that part when I talked to you last. Talking about wanting to be a mother but maybe not getting to. It also talked a lot about friendship. There were so many parts, especially near the end, where it's like talking about especially at the end, were some parts where all of the women in society were banding together, and women from different parts of like society too, different classes, but all banding together to get through difficult times nonetheless. I don't want to give spoilers here, so I won't go into specifics, but if you were at all interested in any of the themes that I had mentioned previously or I mentioned just now, please give Cranford a try. I feel like I never hear people talking about this book, and it deserves so much more attention. I think that if you're a fan of like episodic books, maybe cozy books, all vibes, no plot sort of feeling, I think if you're a classics reader, you'll really enjoy this book. I really, really enjoyed the writing style too. It was very easy to read. I felt like I could really sink into it. There are, of course, some classics that are written in such a way where it takes a lot more time to get into the language. I didn't feel that way with Cranford. I really felt like I could just sink my teeth into it really easily, and it didn't take a lot of mental preparation to get into the language, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, as much as I love Jane Austen, sometimes I really do have to get in that mindset in order to really comprehend what's going on. But with Cranford, I just was able to sink into it, and it was so beautiful. I finished this book last night feeling so emotional and sad that it was over, and I stayed up late to finish it. It was like 12:30 by the time I had. And I remember just being like, I just want to reread it again. I want to go back to Cranford. I want to spend time with the characters. The characters are all pretty much all of them, pretty lovable, and it's definitely a book I'm gonna want to revisit. So highly, highly, highly recommend. If you have read Cranford before, please let me know what you thought. I'd love to talk to somebody else about this book. If you read it sometime in the future, come back and comment. Let me know what you thought. I would love to hear. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the reread in a year, so maybe I'll come back to it. I really liked the audiobook I listened to as well. That was solid. I liked the narrator. She did a great job. So, new favorite book, 5 stars. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I am gonna be doing a little bit of thrifting, a little bit of searching online, see what kind of nice used copies I can find of North and South, and I think it's Wives and Daughters. I am excited to get my hands on some more Elizabeth Gaskell, so I will report back about that. And I think this was a very, very, not an awful lot happened in this vlog, but I really feel like I was able to cover a lot of ground, tell you about Cranford, and I think I'm gonna log off for now. I am excited to film more for my Anna Karenina vlog, which will hopefully come very soon. I'm chipping away slowly. I am also going to start Emma very soon. I'm reading it in April for my final Boss book club, which is always linked down below, but I will be creating a vlog for that as well. I'm so excited. I think that's gonna be the perfect spring book, so I'm so excited. And if you're interested and you want to read Emma along with me, please do join. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, I am gonna go read a little bit more Anna Karenina. I have on a very cozy ambiance video in the back, so maybe I'll show you a little bit of that before I log off. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That would mean a lot, but no pressure. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful day. Bye.